address something for beginners, and how do we keep the folks who've been around for a while excited. I'm going to give it a try. So I think I want to make three main points about meditation this morning. The first is we are turning away. Yesterday we had an event, and Lama Rigzin Gyatso identified this as a kind of the evil one in the mythology of Buddhism, the kind of complete embodiment of what could be called samsaric consciousness. And one way we could also talk about that is it's a kind of external orientation. And nowadays we are all very, very oriented towards an external orientation. And it's what we grew up with, it's necessary, it's helpful, it's been useful to us. But any of you who are here have some kind of intimation that there's something inside, something deeper, something more meaningful, something spiritual. In Buddhism, that which is internal is called our Buddha nature. Our deepest nature is our Buddha nature, an awakened compassionate presence. And in some ways, it hearkens us. Come home, be at peace, be wise, be compassionate, be yourself. Recognize who you are. Come home to being yourself in comfort and peace. And so everything we do is oriented towards coming home to our Buddha nature, being at ease, being at peace, being compassionate, being awake. And it's a process of turning inward and turning away from the external. So the first key piece of what I want to say is that we're moving inward in the process of meditation. And in the meditation we teach on Sunday mornings, we use the breath as our objective focus, which arguably is a kind of intermediate object. You could say the breath is internal, you could say it's external, and we won't argue. But it certainly is part of our internal process, and we begin to look at it internally. And how we look is actually very, very, very important. And the way I'm going to talk about looking today is that we look at our breath with curious appreciation. These are two phenomenally wonderful words in the English language, curiosity and appreciation. In a way, we could say that curious appreciation is the aesthetic perspective. It's what we bring if we go to a museum. Curious appreciation. You know, we live in an age where the prominent metaphor is instrumentalization, being instrumental, making shit happen. We all know about the plague of a to-do list. We want to make shit happen. The to-do list is this, and curious appreciation is this. Curious appreciation is not a to-do. So when we're observing the breath, we're bringing curious appreciation. And if we can just sense that we're doing it from our heart rather than from our head, it can help. And so we've turned inward. That's the first main point. The second main point is we're going to observe the process with curious appreciation. Now we can observe the breath at the nostrils. What is the sensation of the breath at the nostrils? We can observe the breath going down, all the way down to the energy of the breath goes all the way down to a point about 4 finger widths below the navel and 4 finger widths in from the skin, which in the Tibetan tradition is called the do. In the Chinese tradition it's called the dangtian. In the Japanese tradition it's called the hara. In the Sufi tradition it's called the kath. So you can observe the in and out. How is it affecting my nostrils? How does it feel energetically for the energy of the breath to go to my lungs, if you want? Watching it coming in the nose all the way to the lungs and then out. Or you can watch the energy breath to the kath, to the do. Or you can actually have your attention at the do as you're breathing in the abdomen and watching the process of the breath in the abdomen. And there's a lot to be said for that. So we've turned inward, the first issue. Second, we're bringing curious appreciation to the process. We're not criticizing, we're not blaming, we're not shaming. We get all lost in our shopping list. We gently bring our attention back to the breath. That's the second main point. The third main point is that in general here we do teach things from what's called the Dzogchen perspective. It's the perspective of Tibetan Buddhist practice, one of the schools of Tibetan Buddhism. It's considered the highest perspective. It's the great completion. It's a very, very all-inclusive perspective. It's very, very final, very deep. And within that perspective, we tend to move from dualistic perspective to non-dual or less dual and ultimately non-dual perspective. We move away from a sense of self and striving and struggle with the world to a sense of an appreciation of interdependence of all phenomena in the world, all beings in the world, and all phenomena in the world. Everything is interdependent, less dual. And ultimately, there can be an experience where there's no sense of boundary between self and other. One is experiencing non-duality. How do we approach that with the breath? And we start, when we're beginners, we are certainly looking at the breath. We're seeking the breath. We're looking, we're seeking. But if you can, once you've found the breath, especially a sensation here or a sensation of the movement, or at the do, 4 finger widths below the navel and 4 finger widths in, can you see if you can just rest in that experience, what it is if you're sensing it at the dough? What is the experience if you're sensing it at the nostrils? Rest into that experience of sensation. Just be with it. Be less dual. You're no longer looking from a distance, but just sensing. You're moving from seeking to sensing. You're being with. Ultimate realization is a state of being. And so kind of intermediate moment is being with, where you may feel you get a little bit lost in the process of the breathing. Appreciative curiosity is a kind of a reflection of our Buddha nature. Buddha nature is thoroughly appreciative, full of compassion and love. Thoroughly appreciative. It's thoroughly wise and awake. So it's curious about everything. It's engaged in everything. Buddha nature is the ultimate engagement in everything. And we cultivate curious appreciation as a kind of entryway to tuning our fork. It's kind of a tuning fork from something we are cultivating to something we're ultimately being. We're being curious appreciation. We may in initial stages try to be curious, we try to cultivate appreciation, to be sensitive, be careful. It's okay. But as we progress in our observation, be less and less effortful and more at ease. So the first point is we're moving inward. The second, we're emulating our Buddha nature with curious appreciation. We're cultivating curious appreciation. And the third point is whether we're looking at the nostrils or we're looking from the nose to the lungs, or we're looking at the whole process of the breath coming in and going down to the point 4 finger widths in, 4 finger widths below the navel, or if we're actually just watching the process at the movement at the dough, which you can do, and it's just good. And just sensing that area as well as we can. We start with watching, observing. It's pretty dualistic. But then we see if we can settle into that process and just be in it and sense it. So we're moving from a seeking to sensing. We're moving from grosser duality to less duality. And we're being kind. We're being appreciative of ourselves. And if you find that you move and you get lost, once you recognize that, if you want to just note it with thinking, or distraction. You might go into a big old movie about something that happened 3 days ago, or 3 years ago, or 30 years ago, or anticipating 10 days from now. Don't beat yourself up. Treat yourself with curiosity and appreciation and love. Just distraction, or thinking. And bring your attention gently back to whichever point or whichever process you've decided upon. And then once you're noticing, you're seeing and seeking the process of the breath, see if you can sense into it and become less dual with it. So we'll now do that for several minutes. You can have your chin tucked in just a little bit to elongate your neck. Your back is relatively straight but not stiff. Sense yourself sitting on your cushion. When you sense your contact, your seat, this brings you into the immediacy of the present. And you're being supported. That the seating is our first pillar of practice. So we sense contact with that which supports us. Ultimately, the earth. We're connected to the center of the earth. And then our second pillar of support is our skeletal structure. Our skeleton will support us. You don't have to work a lot to be relatively straight. You can, in this particular meditation, have your eyes closed if you wish. If you have them open, they can be cast towards down, but most of all, it should be a soft focus, which means you're not really focusing on anything. It's just that they're open but soft focus. But they can be closed, so you're sensing even more carefully. And we actually should do our aspirations, if you would call them up. May all beings always have happiness and its causes. May all beings always be free of pain and its causes. May all beings always be pain-free and live happily. May no beings ever cling to those near nor spurn those far. For as long as space abides, as long as the world remains, just so long may I be there, resolving all beings' pain. And if it's easy for you and it feels comfortable, you can imagine all of your male relatives on your right and all your female relatives on your left, your enemies in front of you and all beings behind you as you're meditating. We're not doing this alone, we're doing this for all sentient beings. Again, we touch into sensing support, first pillar of support, with our skeletal structure. And then our third pillar is there is an energy that moves from below the navel to the crown of our head. It's a channel in front of our spine. Channel of energy is the central channel, not physically visible, but it's sensed, and it's part of the inner anatomy that is talked about in Tibetan Buddhist practice. A central channel of energy that supports us in our practice. And so we focus on the breath, curious appreciation, gentle tenderness from our heart. Beginning with observing the process, and then see if you can rest into it. Moving from more duality to less duality. second meditation we do was given to us by our teacher in Tibet, Adzon Pelo Rinpoche. We recite the syllable hung in English letters. If you visualize it as H-O-O-N-G, be approximately the right way to say it, hung. We say it twice, hung, hung. We say it with gusto, loud, and we can join our mind, our breath, our speech in unison, less dual. And we're using this syllable. The syllable is the embodiment of the wisdom of all the Buddhas. It is Buddha mind in the form of speech. So when we are reciting Hung, it's an extremely sacred moment because we are participating in, we are evoking and provoking and harmonizing and inviting our Buddha nature to be present, which it always is. We're inviting it to become clearer in our experience. Letter Hung, the syllable Hung, is the experience of Buddha nature in the moment, in all of its fullness. You may become aware of a deep silence within the sound, and that's an aspect of our Buddha nature. Silence in the sound. You may just become aware of the impact of the sound and your whole experience, from more dual to less dual. You may feel some aspect of concentration that's moving towards our Buddha nature, which is stable and not distracted. It's a very, very powerful and profound, yet ultimately simple gift that we share. And we're going to do it for about 5 minutes together. And just let yourself be immersed in your experience. And you can, again, be curious to just notice, am I in this loud, sounding, energetic experience? Is there some curious way in which I'm also aware of silence, stability, clarity, depth associated with it? Come and see. Everybody at their own pace. Now return to the breath and just notice if you can, if there's any difference or not. Just be curious, be appreciative of appreciative curiosity, of curious appreciation. Be tender with yourself. It leads to tenderness to others. Let your body relax. we sent the book of names
It's
around?
here. We didn't go around yet.
Oh, all right. So we have a book of names. If you have anybody at the end of our service, we will dedicate the merit to anyone who we know who is sick or in need or who has passed, or situations that you feel would benefit from the merit that we share with all. I'll just take a moment and see. I taught a little bit differently this morning. I'm wondering if there are any questions or observations or reflections or anything that anybody would want to bring forward, either locally or at a distance. Yes, Maddie, we need a microphone. What?
No, well,
You do need the mic.
Candace will bring you the mic. Thank you, Candace. You do that so well.
Thank you so much.
Just my reflection, I like the long meditation. I like that, and I like the long hung.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything? Question,
Was it difficult?
observation?
Was it easy? Did it shift anything, and even very subtly in your experience?
Any observation whatsoever? There are no wrong statements.
Emily from Tennessee here,
Sorry?
chiming in. Emily from Tennessee, virtually.
Hello, Emily
Hi.
from Tennessee.
Hi. I really love what sitting and being silent. Obviously, as is the first step, but for me, I'm a singer as well, and I love the vagus nerve and what it can do for us. And so when I was brought into utilizing the home, that and experiencing that together, that really settled me. That really settled my system.
Lovely. Can I just have a moment of curiosity and ask, how did you find out about us?
Yes, I am going to brag on her. So, Melissa, she is a dear friend and a student there.
Who is that?
Melissa.
Oh.
Hi, Melissa in the
Melissa.
audience. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, nice.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming,
Yes.
and I appreciate what you've shared with us.
Grateful to be here.
That it was steadying. Not being alone, I think, is very helpful in grounding us. Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you. Anyone else, anything that they want to observe or share?
Maybe there was something that surprised you that you didn't expect.
We are going to do a few more things, but please be aware we're going to have a wonderful, surprising teaching at 11 Central Time, so please hang around. We will be concluding our service today. We'll probably take a little break so that people can do what they need to do, just to stretch and have a little pause. Lama Rigzin Sherab Gyatso, do you want to say something about the last Sunday of December through to the first Sunday of January? Do you have a earpiece?
Yes, she does.
So there's more information available about this, but just briefly, there's the third Sunday of December, December 21st, there will be a teaching about giving and giving away or letting go. And that will begin a 12-day challenge. And what that will be over the course of 12 days, beginning on the 22nd, will be a brief introduction to the 6 perfections. The perfections are the most essential qualities that a bodhisattva cultivates. Very briefly, a bodhisattva in the tradition is someone who seeks awakening for the benefit of all beings. And so the particular practice of the bodhisattva is most classically and traditionally taught in terms of these 6 qualities, like generosity, patience, perseverance, wisdom. And so what that 12-day challenge will be is 2 days devoted to each of those perfections. And very briefly, very simply, there will be, on the first day for each perfection, there will be just a brief question or prompt for reflection about that quality. And then the second day will be a gentle suggestion for a kind of practice that you might do. Again, something very simple, very basic, very easy, with an emphasis on how you might do that in your daily life. Like, what does generosity, an act of generosity, look like in your daily life? What does an act of patience or a moment of patience look like in your daily life? And so Emily's the one I should ask to confirm, but I think this will be through WhatsApp, essentially. Like, there will be something that goes, is that right? Okay, thank you. There will be a prompt that goes out on the first day, and then a suggested practice that will go out on the second day. And so there'll be 12 days, two for each perfection. And then that will end with the first Sunday of January, which will be a teaching on intention and the importance of intention and setting attention from a Buddhist perspective.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you. We encourage everyone to participate.
It's a very special opportunity. For those of you who may be newly meeting Lama Rigzin Sherab Gyatso, he is a senior editor on an amazing project that is going on that is available and free to everybody. It's called the 84,000 Project, which is a project to translate the whole corpus of the Buddha's teachings from Tibetan into English and Chinese and some other languages. And you can get an app on your phone, and they've done remarkable work already. They've made amazing progress. It's supposed to be a 100-year project, but they've already, in the first 10 years, what percentage has been completed?
50%?
In 10
Wow.
years?
I think the new target date, we get an update at the end of every year, essentially, and we expect the entire, what's called the Kangyur, which is sort of the first body of teachings, about 110 volumes, should be available in English in our digital reading room by 2032.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So it's a rich trove of wisdom that most of us have not seen and made use of, and it's free. And so, yay, what a gift to humankind. Where are we at with the book? It's being written. Let's see. We will continue to have our first and third Sundays. We have a retreat coming up in February, which will be on our website. That will be about what's called the elements, but it's really about ways of relating to life that are solid and constricted, like hard earth, ways of relating to life that are kind of wishy-washy, like water, or flexible, ways that are energetic or flighty, like wind. There's sort of always a positive and negative to each of the elements. Or there's like being spaced out, which can be spaced out and kind of not noticing, or spacious and open. So the elements are, in a way, obstructed versions of reality, and they can become positive versions of reality. And we will be dealing with both in that particular retreat. And we will also have a New Year's party in February, and that will be on our
The Tibetan
website.
Lunar New Year.
Tibetan Lunar New Year, where it will be a potluck, so bring yourselves, bring your food, and enjoy. March 7th, we will have a all-day workshop on working with the inner critic from the perspective of internal family systems for Buddhist practitioners. internal family systems is one model for understanding how we're wired as human beings. It's a starts as a therapeutic model, but it's been used in consulting and spiritual development, and I think it will have a lot. This won't be therapy. It's not an alternative to therapy, but almost every Buddhist practitioner that I talk to deals with some form of inner criticism, self-hatred, putting oneself down. It's kind of a necessary, almost slippery slope that occurs when you undertake spiritual practice, because you start evaluating yourself. It's not something we want to encourage or hold on to, and we don't want to promote it, but almost everybody who gets into some kind of spiritual practice starts having benchmarks that they evaluate themselves against and find themselves short. And that's not actually what we're meant to be doing when we're cultivating spiritual practice. So I think it will be enormously helpful. I have been deeply pained by talking to our students and how painful it is for them to be in their bodies. And I would like to throw everybody a life preserver. And I think this will be a wonderful life preserver for anyone who consider themselves even mildly a Buddhist practitioner. Please invite friends, family, and your pets for this workshop on March 7th. It really will be very, very valuable. Bring all 6 of them. And any
As
you
long
may
as they're
accumulate
dressed
between
right.
now and then. Our birds for sure could have used it.
For those of you who don't know, Lama Namgyal Harvey Aronson, in addition to having studied for decades Buddhism and speaking Tibetan and so on, is for 30, 40 years or so a psychotherapist in private practice. And he has done innumerable trainings over his life, and
To the pain of our expense account, yes.
and just brings a tremendous wealth of personal experience, always through these decades, in his own mind and body, putting together what's going on in his practice with what he's understanding from. I mean, the West has some wisdom too about how the mind works and how pain arises in our hearts because of many things, and he's really put his life into studying this. So it's great. I mean, he's finally really coming forward with it in a more complete way in terms of how it relates to our practice at Dawn Mountain. So it's a great gift. It's not something you'll get everywhere.
There is life after 80.
That too.
Where is our book? And can we put up our prayers, concluding prayers?
So we're going to read the names now and at the end of the...
No, just now.
Just now.
So we dedicate our merit. By this good may I swiftly once become a great guru, lead all beings, everyone, to reach to that very ground. With all of you in mind, we light this lamp of clarity. May the glow of love, wisdom, shine within us, everyone, till we all rise forth, one enlightened mandala. And we conclude with an ah, sending.
First we read the names.
And we read the names. Where are they? You're writing them? Oh, okay. So why don't we do the ah, and then we'll read the names.
Okay.
So we do an ah, which will be for all the names that we are reading, for all beings we're seeing, and for all beings here, for all beings throughout our planet and the universe, seen and unseen, known and unknown. May all be of benefit with our well-wishing through this ah.
And uniting breath, intention, and blessings. We will send. Do you want to read them first? Now?
All right, we'll read them first. We got a new book here today.
Yes. Start at the beginning.
Yeah. This is it. Oh. Raphael and Michelle, Renee P. and Richard,
Lynn.
Lynn B. and Andy, who's in the Bardo, Francine H. Peace Walk monks, monk whose leg was amputated, Thomas, Vishveshwara, Tadeo, Stefan, Melissa, McIntyre, Bina Neji, Amy, Valerie, Tex, Dad, Darcy, Nancy, Mom, Bardo, Danny, Bardo, Robert, Mom, Dog, Jake, Amy, Winters Healing, Jairus Healing, Charlie's Healing, Cheryl's Healing, Ruth's Healing, Pat's Healing, Madeline's Healing, Lama Namgyal, Lama Rigzin, Lama Sherab, Emily, Candace, All Sentient Beings, Brian King, Tara, Tara's family, Cami, Healing from Melinda and Jim Cosby, from my sister Alicia's struggle with infertility, from my friend suffering in Ukraine, Gregory Cotton, Helen Shiozawa, victims of war and violence, Marina Katricha, Sophia Kim, Renson Remjes, Yolanda Ho, Tong Lei, Debbie Lay, Betty Stevens, Andrea, Marcella, and Ramon, Susie and Max, Catherine, children in areas of war, Terry's treatment, Mom's recovery, Judy's treatment, John, Elizabeth, Raina, Anna, and Jay.
And for all of them and everyone.
We do a heartfelt ah. We will take a 1.5 minute break to allow whatever needs to be done with our computer and people to just stretch their bodies, and we'll be back at about 11:05 to start
And-
our Sunday morning
And it's nice to see
first
some
teaching.
people joining us right now. Hi, Claire and Tiffany, especially.
Yeah, and
if
everybody
you
is
missed
on.
if you missed the meditation this morning,
Jeff,
Lama
hi.
Namgyal did. Hi, Jeff. It was a little different than usual, and it'll be on YouTube, so you might like to listen to it. So back in a minute.